Okay, so yeah, very good morning, everyone. So we are gathered over here to see into a new template which will help us understand and take trades with NimblrTA. So today I would be discussing about Nimblr template, and in addition to that, we will also look into a screener. So many of us we have gathered over here, and thank you, Nimblr sir, for joining in. So it's a great pleasure that we have all taken some time out from our busy schedule and are part of this small discussion. So let me share my screen. So if you're able to see my screen, then over here we are talking about a Nimblr template, which has been a customized template and it is available for TradingView. The purpose is very simple. We want to identify trades and we need to have a template so that we can have the basic concepts which are mapped into NimblrTA available into this template. So over here, we have multiple components as we have all learned, and those are coded over here so that when we are taking the trades, we have a chart, and within those charts, we are able to take decisions based on what we see. What does this template have? So a glimpse of what it does is it gives you the strength candle identification, and it gives you the star marked over the strength candles. It can be a green candle or a red candle. So these are momentum candles which are unidirectional and they help us to flow with in that particular direction of that particular trend. Then in addition to that, it also gives us a marking for ICMC breakouts. So this we have had multiple discussions earlier too, and there are multiple videos and courses which are available from Dishma sir. And we talk in depth regarding ICMC breakouts. And these are the simplest form of breakouts. And to identify them over the chart, it becomes quite easy and we can write the trend much early. Then we have the TinyICs, which are also a part, and those are available on 15 minutes and above intentionally because when we are talking about the TinyIC, in that case, on a lower time frame, they could be a little bit more disturbing because there could be multiple tiny ICs on each candle. So then it becomes more easy and more fruitful when we have these tiny ICs available on 15 minutes and onwards. Okay, so yeah, okay. Just have a small check over here. So my voice is audible and my screen also is visible to everyone. Is that correct? Maybe you could just reply on the chat. If any technical difficulties you are facing, then you can let me know. Okay, thank you, Mitesh. Okay, okay, let's resume to our slide. So we were talking about the tiny ICs and those are identified by a blue dot. We will be looking into the template very soon, so it will be easy to understand. Then we have the line view superimposed. What it means is while we are looking at the candle view, we have also the line view, which is the waves part, which is visible to you on your screen itself. So you don't need to toggle from line charts to candlesticks. It is all in one included, and we can increase or customize it as per our requirement. Colors and everything can be modified. Then apart from this, it gives you open of the day. So these are marked in dark orange, and open of prior days are also mentioned. When we shall look into the chart, it would become very easy for us to understand and interpret how the stock or the instrument which we are watching, how it works and how we can take actions with them. In addition to it, it also gives you some other levels, which are the previous day high and the previous day low. So these are the levels which help us mark as a resistance or a support. So as and when the stock is moving on the upside, the previous day high could be broken and then it becomes further bullish, and vice versa when it goes below the previous day low. So this also forms the basis for different concept strategies, that is impulse. So we can even see all those available on the template. Apart from this, we have the swing highs and lows which are marked, and the zigzags. So these are very important because then when we are looking at waves, there could be different depictions based on the line chart or the candle charts. And these zigzags and swing high levels help us identify the targets very easily, and support and resistance, so that as and when those are broken, we can move up in a particular direction level by level. So what is the purpose of this template? It is a purpose for when we are talking about different courses which are offered by NimblrTA uh, Academy. So in that case, we have basic components which are encoded. So identify them on the chart. When we are doing those courses, it becomes very simple. When we are talking about trading the candlesticks, that those are available over here. When we are trying to understand waves, ICMCs, TinyICs, the breakouts and the retest. So this is a basic chart for study, and to understand them, we can have further decisions based on them. So we would be going through this chart. Before we go into this, I would be also talking about TradingView NimblrTA screener. So this, along with the Nimblr template, would go hand in hand, where the screener would help us identify the particular trade or a particular stock, and on the chart, that is Nimblr template, we would be able to see and understand how it is getting formed. So one is available for screening, while the other one we talked about is available for charting. So it becomes a combo of charting as well as a live screener, and all this is available on TradingView as an indicator. So before we go to NimblrTA screener, let me have a glimpse and show you how the Nimblr template would work. Over here, I have a screen. Let me hide these. So I have the Nimblr template, and right now I am on the line chart. I am on an hourly time frame. What are the different components we see over here? So let me just disable this as well. So over here, we prominently see some orange lines over here. So these orange lines are the open of the days. The recent open of the day is marked over here, which is 509.45. So for Chemplast, open of the day was 509.45. Then we have multiple other depictions. We can easily see these zigzags, which tell us it is a higher high, it is a higher low, then a subsequent higher high is formed over here. And the information is captured, what is the value of high. So this high is based on the candlestick high. So it could be the wick or the stick. Based on that, these high and lows are identified. So if I just move to the to the chart where we have the candlesticks, in that case, we can easily see that this particular high was 509.90. This open was 509.45, and the recent low which has been formed is 517.15. So it becomes very easy and handy to have this. Apart from this, you could also identify that these are the star candles, and these are momentum candles. This is a green momentum candle, and then we have different other candles. For example, this is a ICMC breakout that has happened. So let's look more into depth. So this is the IC candle, this is the MC candle, and ICMC combination has been formed over here. And on this particular day, on an hourly time frame at 9:15, approximately at 10:15, beyond that at 12:15, this open line was broken, and it formed an ICMC breakout, and this complete range of IC was broken on the downside. Also to note, at this point, the open was broken on the downside, and the trade continues to go down. The previous day open, which is this line, was also crossed, and further subsequent a new low was created. So from here till around 454 till approximately 416, a new low was formed, which is marked over here. So we have the new low which is the lower low. This is the level of the lower low. The higher high which was formed was 464.95, which is also giving us a guidance over here. So these are the levels which have been formed. Later on, if we try to see what happened few days later, this was what happened on 10th of August. Now, if we move further on 21st of August, we were able to break up on the upside beyond 464.95. So this becomes one of the recent swing high level, which is marked over here. And that is why we mentioned that swing high is also marked. Apart from this, if you also see closely, let me move it in this way. Okay, so if you also see closely, there are markings for the line. So these are the close of the candles, and they give you an interpretation how the stock has been moving. So over here we can easily identify that we have a no overlap. Why? Because over here we can see that this level and this level, they have not overlapped. So it has left a no overlap, it descended down, it left a no overlap, and a new high was created. Then again there was a minor no overlap, and it is moving on the upside. Also to note, the orange levels which you are seeing, these are the opens, and the recent open which happened on 24th is above the prior opens. So that again is a bullish sentiment and tells us that stock is moving on the upside. Apart from this, when we also see if we want to see the levels, we just go on this Nimblr template. We click on close levels and we will see these levels marked. So we know this level is 476 and this level is 477.25. So there's a gap between 476 and 477.25. Similarly, over here, this level is 486.5 and this level is 487.65. So even when we are not trying to identify those levels, the template can help us with those levels very easily, where we can easily take the trade or put our uh, positions when we want to take a trade based on this level. So we can easily have different combinations over here in this NimblrTA based template. Let's take another example. Over here, we have multiple other things. We have the pSARs, we have the previous level crossing markings as well. So when I tick on this particular value, which is show previous level crossing, this would mean the previous level, these small arrows are getting formed. So when these arrows are getting formed, it tells us that the previous level of the swing level, which is 485 over here, was broken on the upside. Then the subsequent candle, again it shows an arrow which is on the downside, tells us the previous level was broken on the downside. So below, above this level, we are able to cross. It gives an information or a marking. Below this level, if it is crossing, that is the um, in the body open. What we are seeing over here, that this particular stock at this particular point on hourly chart at 11:15, it opens within the candle of the previous strength candle, and it can trespass to a lower level. So that is what is marked over here, and it tells you a trespassing as well. Then again, few candles later, we would see that there is a new arrow which again tells us this recent swing high that was formed, that has been crossed on the upside, and then there has been minor descent and an ICMC breakout was formed and the stock moves further. This is how we can easily identify. Similarly, we can have different time frames. The same template would be applicable for multiple other time frames as well as different stocks or instruments. Okay, let me see if somebody else would like to join. Okay, okay, let's continue further. So this is what the template brings us. Then apart from this, we have spoken about different topics over here, we have talked about ICMC breakout, which we have seen. We have talked about the open of the day, open of the prior days, previous high and low levels, which we will just see right now. So if I come to a 5 minutes time frame over here, we can see on a 5 minutes time frame where those levels are. So there are levels which are marked in blue and pink color. So this level tells us what is the low of the previous day. This is orange line over here. This orange is the open, and in this case the orange line is also extended because this also was the low of the previous day. Current day, the open was again over here 509.40, and the previous day high are marked with this blue line. If you see this faint blue line over here, this blue line tells us what was the open of the or the high of the previous day. So over here we see the high of the previous day, which is this blue line. We went on an ICMC breakout below that line, and as of now we are still below this line and we have not crossed the high of the previous day on a closing basis. So this is on a 30 minutes time frame. So high, low, open, ICMC breakouts, swing levels, as well as these zigzags along with the overlap values or the line charts helps us give a good identification what is the trend of this particular stock when it is moving. Similarly, when we extend this on a daily, weekly, or monthly, or even higher time frame, we would get similar information. So for the demonstration, we can look into some other stock. For example, I could take Reliance over here. So over here, let me remove some of the drawings which I might have done for my understanding. Okay, so over here, when we see I have enabled only the Nimblr template and I am on the daily time frame. Over here, we see there's a ICMC breakout, and also this breakout is marked with this small brown line identifying the level of the breakout. And then beyond that, we are able to see what was the swing high, and we are also able to see how it went sideways, and it has not broken on the upside. Similarly, you could even see at the levels of the waves and the line charts. So it gives a good glimpse that the stock move, it gave a no overlap over here. And also we see there was a tiny IC, which is this blue dot, which was formed and it was broken on the downside. So this tiny IC, if you see closely, this is the tiny IC, which is the level of the IC candle on the higher side or the lower side. Whenever it is broken in either direction, it gives a flow in that particular direction. It's a rush of movement which comes in that particular direction. So over here, when we see the low value was 2305, and as soon as it broke on the downside, we went till 2249. This is on a daily basis. So daily basis, we saw a tiny IC breakout on the downside. And similarly over here, we got an arrow which told us we went above the previous value of swing high, which was this value. And then again, a next marking told us we moved above the recent swing high also, which is 2337. So these marking or levels helps us identify where is the next target and also how we want to trade accordingly. Then the further move came, we went up till 2621, and then we went inside the previous candle. We trespassed into the previous candle, and then we moved down, and there have been lower highs which have been created, a lower low, again a lower high, telling us the stock has been weakening and it has not given much movement on the upside because of the overlaps that has happened and the multiple lower lows and lower highs that has been created in this particular stock. So this is a simple template and identification. Now we would look with the screener. Let me come back to the slide. So we talked about Nimblr template and its basic usage. Now we would be using this template along with a live screener. The purpose of the screener would be to identify trades in different strategies. So we could identify impulse, we could identify ICMC breakouts, tiny ICs, open analysis. This is how the open of various days have been moving. If the recent day open, that is open for today, is moving or is above the prior day's open, then obviously it's a sentiment that we are on the upside. However, if the open is below the multiple days previous values of open, if it has gone below it, then again it gives us a bearish sentiment, then we would be flowing on the downside. As you understand that open of the day is most important. We have learned multiple times from Dishma during multiple courses and discussions and video meets as well, that open is very it gives us the complete sentiment of the stock, how it has opened after maybe a weekend or a holiday or after some news which has happened. So it's most important and it becomes very easy for us when we do that open analysis and we move in the direction of the trend. Okay. So apart from that, we also are able to identify the gap. So it tells us gap ups and gap downs which are happening. It tells us how the sentiments have changed based on the candle count. So the number of candles which it has taken from a negative sentiment to a positive sentiment, that is, if we have worked upon CCI, so -100 and below is a bearish sentiment, and for a bullish sentiment we go or flow above CCI 34 value of 100. So over here we try to identify the stocks where the candle count is less when it has moved from -100 and crossed above 100. So this tells us or it's a gauge of how the flow of momentum has come in the stock. So this we are able to do it with bullish stocks as well as the stocks which have lost momentum and changed the sentiment suddenly, maybe because of some news which was available during the weekend or some other mishap that might have happened on that particular instrument. Then we are able to identify pSARs reversals. That is, suddenly there has been change in pSAR. So maybe on an hourly time frame, the stock was moving down and the pSAR was on the downside. However, it has reversed on a particular stock based on the pSAR strategy. Similarly, we can see trespassing swings, that is the previous recent highs have been broken. We can identify where we get the fresh momentum on the upside or downside, and we are able to identify open peak. When we talk about open peak, we would see it's a strength candle which have come unidirectional. So a very common example or very good example is Chemplast, which we just saw right now. Chemplast, if I just see it over here. So over here, for example, in this particular case, we see the open is also the low of the candle, and the stock move from this particular point of open around 482 value till on the upside of around 521. So this kind of stock where we have a unidirectional movement and there's a strength candle which has formed, this is getting identified with a screener which is called open peak. So interestingly, we can create watch list out of this screener. That would mean we can track 37 stocks in one go, whichever direction we want, for whichever strategy we are looking forward to. And this analysis would be on real time, and we can identify for bullish and bearish stocks. CCI information is also provided, and this screener is applicable for all time frame and all instruments which are supported by Tradingview. So this would means you could track Dow Jones, you could track HSI, you could track some any other indexes. You could track Nifty Metal, you could track pharma, you could track some stocks and any other instrument which is available in the universe of TradingView. Now let's come to this live demonstration where we would be looking into the usage of the screener And along with it, we would be looking into how we are interpreting it with Nimblr template for the charting purpose. So on my TradingView account over here, now I have applied a Nimblr template. Apart from that, I have applied a NimblrTA screener. I just enable this. Over here, screener is very simple, just to understand how it goes so that we can then quickly go through different examples today and see how it would work. So if I go to the settings, this screener is completely customizable. There are some options over here. You could see screener logic. It is bear or bull, right? So if I am looking for the stocks which are on the bear side, we could easily select it. If I am looking for stocks which are on the bull side, we could toggle it and see how it goes, right? Then this is a very simple way of using it. Then over here, if you see, when I clicked on the screener, there was some pop-up which come over here. Over here, we tell that what time frame we are at. Currently, I am on a daily time frame, and this time frame for this screening strategy is also on daily. I have chosen bear strategies over here, so it tells me that I am looking into the stocks which are bearish in nature. Now what particular strategy I would choose, that I have a combination which is available over here. So I can choose any one combination at one time. This would mean if I am looking for CCI screener, I enable the CCI screener over here. I click it. I do OK over here. I would see the stocks available which are screened by the screener in live real time. Also, coming down, we can create our own watch list of 37 stocks. So this would mean if I have one instance of this screener, I can scan 37 stocks on one time frame at a time, right? So over here, I have added multiple stocks of my interest, which I wanted to be available in the watch list, maybe which I was tracking, or maybe if we have done our analysis, I would like to watch what those levels are, or maybe it might give a good open values at that moment of time. So over here, there are from S01 till S37, we have 37 stocks, and this we can easily change by clicking on a particular stock. For example, instead of bank nifty, I just click on bank nifty over here. So just to repeat again, I am on the screener. I click on this setting. There's a pop-up which opens. Apart from that, we can also double click over here. So there's a pop-up which would come over here. I would select any strategy which I want, and if I want to change a particular stock, I will just click on this stock, and I can add, for example, Dow Jones over here. So now this Dow Jones index has now been added in this screener, and out of these 37 instruments, it will start to analyze DJI as well on a daily time frame and using CCI as a strategy. So right now over here, if I want to have multiple stocks, for example, you may have an example where you are tracking more than 100 stocks, right? And you would like to see where the ICMC breakouts are happening, or you would like to have or see Impulse and TinyIC or CCI or different combination at the same time. In one instance of the screener, we can choose only one strategy. So what I would do is I would create a copy of it. I will do click over here. I will do copy. I will do control V. It's basically a copy paste, and the same would be available as a new copy. And here I can change my strategy over here, and I can change the stocks also over here. Let me put some other stock. Okay, so I put it. Then apart from that, I can change the location. So top right, this is the top right location, and I want to have it on the top left side, or maybe let me put it on the bottom side. So this is how I am aligning it. And now I want this to be available for bull strategy. So basically we have created two instances which would work on 37 stock each. So that is, this instance will work on 37 stocks, and we have created a copy where this would also work on 37 stocks altogether. So in total we have 37 plus 37 stocks getting analyzed at any moment. Over here we see impulse screener gives us the deep energy, right? So now if I am seeing over here, I would see what is the value. This is the CMP value. So according to this value, we see that impulse was created at a value of 135. When the stock value was 135, there was an impulse which has continued, and current value is 427. And also it gives us the CCI 34 value of the current time frame. That means this value is 204 on CCI. So let's come to our chart, deep ENR, because our screener has identified it. So if we see over here, I'm using the Nimblr template. Along with it, I'm using two instances of the screener. One instance is on identifying stocks on bearish for CCI momentum. Other one is identifying on daily basis on bullish side for the impulse, right? So over here, this chart is very interesting, and it was also shared by Dishma yesterday. So it becomes very interesting because now based on our trading view indicator itself, we are able to get that this is a lower low value, which is 115.20, and on the daily time frame the previous high has been crossed. So over here the value for previous high was 134.75, and it has been now crossed and we have reached 135.90. If we look into the line part of it, so this is how it looks like. So there's a lower low which has been formed and a new high it has given. Similarly, if I change this and I want to scan where ICMC breakouts are happening on the daily basis, or let's come to a hourly basis. So we would be able to identify on an hourly basis. We saw that the stock moved up, and over here also on the orange line levels, if we see, we are seeing that continuously the opens are happening above the prior day's open, which is telling us the sentiment. And this is where the open happened, then it became a gap up, then again a new open happened, and then again it became a gap up. So on the 60 minutes time frame, ICMC breakouts for the list of stocks which I have mentioned, we don't get anything, right? So that means none of these particular stocks on 60 minutes time frame gave an ICMC breakout, right? But now on 60 minutes time frame, we would see that there are some stocks which are giving CCI momentum. So I'm on a hourly time frame, and if I go to NTPC over here, right? So NTPC on hourly time frame, we are able to see that it moved up, and then recent lower highs have been formed over here, which is the value of 221, and also it moved down continuously from the open of the day. So if I see the charts, so open of the day happened at a value of 222.9. This red candle moved down, so that is the sentiment on at 9:15 on 23rd of August was on a bear side. It moved down, it slightly gave a lower high over here, minor lower high, and then the next day again it moved continuously down, then it gave another lower high and continues to move down on the subsequent day. So also on 25th, which was Friday, it started to move down itself. And when we see the CCI values, there's another indicator I'm using it, but we could use any other which we are having. So over here, the value on hourly time frame for CCI 34 has crossed below -100. Over here, even the value for CCI 3430 is -139, and the values for different time frames are mentioned over here. And on hourly basis we have moved below -100. So this gives us a sentiment that now we are getting a flow or a movement on the downside, because now we have CCI momentum on the sell side. Then similarly, we see Larsen and Toubro. So this is again another stock. And if we see open of the day, how it moved down. This was the open of the day. It moved down. Then the subsequent open of the day on Friday, again, it continues to move down. And the CCI momentum is also on the sell side. So same thing would be applicable for any time frame. Now, if I come to a daily time frame, so there are multiple values which we can change. One is the stocks we can change from over here. We can change the position of how we want to print it. Even if I find it, okay, this is taking too much of space. So there's an option that I would easily keep it as a text output. So this will be visible as a text output rather than a window which will be blocking my view. So initially it becomes a simple way to track. So this is how the same thing would be visible, but it is customizable and it can be in a movable form. So I could see that ITC over here is getting screened. So on a daily time frame, I see ITC. So in case of ITC, we see the daily value of -101. So for CCI, we are getting a sell value of -101, and CCI screener has identified that stock is in bearish momentum and on the sell side. Similarly, Nifty, Reliance are other ones on the daily time frame. On the ICMC breakout, we see K Fintech, for example. So over here, I have the list over here. I would be seeing K Fintech, click on it, and I could see that the daily momentum on CCI has crossed above 100. So it has reached a value of 455 on a daily time frame. Same value is also printed over here. That is 427. This is the approximate value which we are able to see for CCI. Similarly for Bsoft, that is Birla Soft, we see a new CCI daily crossing above 100 has happened, and there's a no overlap over here. If you see closely, there's a pSAR values which are giving you the information, and the lower high which was formed and the recent high value which was there, those have not been broken by the higher low. So 375 is the higher low which was formed over here, and 362 is the previous high swing high value. So we see that there's a gap over here, so it becomes a no overlap. Also, this view is available and faintly visible in this line chart, and we could easily flow with it. Similarly, there are other screeners. I would just change those screeners so that we could look and have a feel of it. Let me take some simple examples over here. So over here, like Coal India, we are getting bearish on a 60 minutes time frame trespassing. So this candle has opened within the previous candle. Impulse, it's a lower low formed new high, right? Then if we move further, we have CCI momentum, which we just talked about, that on a daily time frame, we are getting this value. Now over here, the momentum on a 60 minutes time frame. This is a weekly TinyIC which has been formed. So this will be interesting. Let's look into an example where we enable the TinyICs, right? And just to note that TinyICs, when they are broken with their high or low range, they flow in that particular direction. So bullish or bearish is probably not applicable for it over here. So if we see Nifty over here on a daily time frame has been providing or giving us a TinyIC. So this is the TinyIC, and when the value of this TinyIC is broken on the upside or downside, then we could see a movement. So this is the value 19339.55, and the other value on the downside is 1922970. So this is a TinyIC which has been formed on hourly basis. If I want to identify where the TinyICs are being formed out of my 37 stock list, then easily I could do it. So I am on a hourly time frame right now. I see open of the day has happened, and Nifty was unable to cross and sustain above open of the day. It tried to cross it, but then it did not sustain above it, and these two acted as a lower high and crossed below. Then there was a ICMC breakout which happened, and it moved down. Similarly, Hero Motocorp over here. So Hero Motocorp on 60 minutes time frame, that is on hourly time frame, we see a tiny IC is being formed. Similarly, I could have different screeners which are there. I can have one more screener and I could print it in the middle of the screen, and it could do its screening altogether. So now it becomes that we have same copy of the indicator, but then we have change what we want to watch on the same time frame. It could be different strategies, it could be different stocks that we want to watch. Over here, if I want to put it on the middle, I would just go over here. Instead of bottom, I would do it on the middle, and I could have three instances of the screener having different stocks being monitored. Now if we come to a strategy where we want to see the ICMC breakouts, and talked about the impulse. Now let's talk quickly about the ICMC breakouts which are happening. So let's change our time frame. Okay, so over here when we see ICMC breakouts, so for example over here NTPC we talked about, Bank Nifty. So Bank Nifty gave us on a 60 minutes and ICMC breakout. So if you see this value, it is on 60 minutes on hourly time frame, and it shows the IC and the MC candle. Lower value is there, and there's a brown color level marking which tells out the breakout value. That is the value at which the IC range has been broken on the downside. Here it was this. Over here it is marked as this particular value. Similarly, if you want to see uh, what are the ICMC breakouts that have happened on the bear side, so we could easily toggle and change these to see different stocks at one go. Over here, I would like to put another screener. We would put open analysis screener. So it will track the open of the day if it has moved above the prior day's open. That tells us that the open of today or open of the recent day has happened, and we have moved on the we are moving on the upside. Okay. Okay, so over here we get more number of stocks. So in that case, probably we can just disable this part. So open analysis, for example, K FinTech was identified as the open analysis. That means if I go to K FinTech again, now we would be looking it from a open point of view. So open of K FinTech over here was above the prior day and even the subsequent previous day open that was crossed on the upside. So this open was higher than the previous day's open. So that is why it has identified. Similarly, if we see Mastek over here, so these are some of the stocks which have been spoken about on Twitter by Dishma sir. So when we see these on the screener, it gives us a double tick that okay, our screener is working fine and it matches what NimblrTA has taught us. So if I see Mastic over here, so Mastic again, open of the day, it happened and it was above the previous days of open, and then it moved on the upside. So it tells us that it has been in a bullish sentiment when it opened and it moved on the upside. So there are some particular values of the screener where we would be able to do it at the open of the day. That is, open analysis obviously must be at the open of the day because that gives us better view when the stocks are opening at 9:15. Then again, gap, we could track it how the gaps are there. So I am on a hourly time frame and I am looking for gaps. Now let's come to a daily time frame and see some of the stocks which gave us a gap up opening. Same, we can change it for our gap down as well. So if I move to bull, this is over here, and over here if I move to bear and change it to gap screener, so I would be able to see, okay, something wrong in it, let me just reapply it. Okay, so gap down, out of the stocks which we had put, none of them were gap down stocks, right? So we did not get any result over here. But the gap up stock was K Fintech. We talked about it again over here, since it was available as a part of open analysis and our gap up also. So as soon as the gap up is happening in the morning, we could get K Fintech getting identified as a gap up stock over here, because the a recent lower low was there, and over here we see this particular arrow telling us the recent swing higher value of 404 has moved, or it has opened above that value, and that is the reason it is a gap up stock. So there's a plain light which has passed through the low and the high value over there. That is what it identifies. So 404 for this particular value, and the previous close was over here, or the previous high was over here, so we see a gap up over here. Similarly, on a weekly time frame, we would like to see, okay, where the gap ups are there. So as of now, we don't see out of the list of stocks we have put, we don't see any gap ups. So that is perfectly fine. So only when we get something available on the screener, it will be shown to you. In case those strategies are not matching, or there's something which is not qualifying the conditions, then you will not see any specific list of stocks. Okay, so let me take some more examples. So let me take an example of pSAR screener over here. And on the bull side, again, we can take a screener, maybe a candle count, and we can do it on a daily time frame. So I am on a daily time frame. I have chosen my strategy over here, and I have applied this. I would like to see what has happened and what all movements of stocks have been seen over here. Okay, so we see Sarah, Deep ENR, Zydus Well, Dine Pro. These are the ones which have given a sentiment change. We talked about sentiment change where the CCI momentum has changed from -100 to +100 on that time frame. So daily time frame, Sarah. If we look at Sarah chart over here, we see that it has crossed above 100. Also, there the movement, how it has crossed above 100 is from -100 to 100. So this value is 183, which is this orange line, 183.40, which is this orange line over here, the 183.39 or 183.40, and it took a number of candle counts. We are counting the number of candles. So over here at this moment of point on 18th of July, until the point it has crossed on the upside, the candle count is less than 21, so it becomes bullish in nature itself. So let's see if it is getting the exact value or an approximate value what we are looking for. So this is the point where candle count would start counting, and if we try to see the value over here, so we see that it has taken 21 days or 15 bars. So 15 days it took to cross from -100 to +100, which becomes a bullish sentiment on a daily time frame. It moved up, it again gave a retest over here. The retest was at around lower high 8115.80, this particular value, and the low which was created recently was 8240. So there's a gap over here, so there's no overlap, and then there was a ICMC breakout and it started to move ahead. So this kind of information is available with the bullish sentiment. Similarly, Zydus Well Wellness, if we see over here on a daily time frame, if you see the number of candles it took from movement from -100 to +100. So this value of yellow or orange line moving above 100, and prior to it when it was less than -100, the number of candles it took, it tells us the sentiment. So the sentiments have changed for it. Similarly for Dyn Pro. So over here, if we see, this is the point when it was -100, and this is the point it has crossed above +100. So from here till here, approximately from this point till this point, it at this moment of time, you will start getting it that it has changed the sentiments, right? And if we see what are the stocks which have given pSAR change. So if we check Vindhyatel, which did well recently. So over here, I'm on a daily time frame. We see this pSAR over here, the red ones. If it is on above, that means the stock is bearish in nature. And suddenly at this moment, we see it has come in the screener for pSAR. So this pSAR screener tells us that now we have the green value of pSAR. It has moved below the stock, and now it tells us that the change has happened on the daily time frame for pSAR. Similarly for blue dart, if we see, so it is a bullish change. So on a daily time frame, if we see this value also, although it moved gave an ICMC breakout, but as per pSAR strategy, it tells us that the pSAR has now reversed. So we would like to see how this stock would go. Now, if we change it further to any other part, for example, open peak we talked about, okay, we can just take it again. And over here, let's take another strategy, that is trespassing, because this probably we didn't talk much about. Okay, and let's take a weekly time frame in this case. Let me remove my drawings which I might have. So bullish trespassing. So over here, if we see, we have IOC, so Indian Oil Corporation. So we could see that trespassing has happened. The strength candle was there, and this candle moved inside the body of the previous candle. So there's a trespassing which is happening. Similarly, for any other stock, for example, on a daily time frame, or if I am interested on a hourly time frame, I will just change the time frame, and the screener will customize or adapt itself to check how the stocks have been working on specific time frames. So over here, let's see, let me reapply it. Okay, so ITC. Okay, so over here on a 60-minute time frame, ITC has given, or it has given a trespassing. Trespassing is, this is a strength candle which is marked by this star. This is a green strength candle again marked by the star, and the value of the close, this value has been crossed on the upside. So that is what it tells us, that it is a trespassing that has happened on the upside, right? So like this, we would be able to work with Nimblr template as well as this particular screener. So we can create further copies of it and change the number of stocks we are looking for. And then those analysis would be there and it can work. So now if we just go quickly through a kind of a replay on a daily basis and see what all stocks are happening and how it would look like. So that is something actually how it will work when we are on a different time frame. So I will disable some of the values over here so that we don't see too much congestion in the charts. And over here, we see that open on particular day was Dodla VC, that we are getting it. And this is, if I try to move further, we can go step by step. So we would see the stocks over here are changing. We are getting Esther, DGI, ISMO. So every day which all stocks are getting qualified, this would keep on changing. Same would be applicable on any time frame. So it's a live real time chatting mechanism where the screener is telling you what all stocks are getting screened. So this is majorly what the screener would do. And this is the sentiment changer or the NimblrTA CCI indicator. This tells us what are the values for CCI are. So currently we are on ITC chart and we could see how it is changing. It is changing colors. So it tells us the health of the stock. And then again, accordingly, if you have different strategies, so those will get visible to you, what all stocks have come or those have moved across. So we can stop this part and come back to our slide. So we talked about Nimblr template. We talked about the screener. We saw the live demonstration. So these are some other examples I was checking for trading, and there are some good stocks which came across over here, and we put on the watch list. And then whenever on a lower time frame, we can easily track them and then take an entry as per guidance. So this is again one of the chart where a lower low has been created. It moved upside. ICMC breakout has happened. It went on the upside, but then it was again not able to sustain the value, and we move on the downside again. So it tells you different ways how the stocks are getting identified. And as a part of a promotion, as of now, there's a mega combo sale that is ongoing. So both these individual TradingView indicators. So individually they are priced separately, but currently with the current promo, so originally they were at a different price, but as a part of a mega combo sale that is ongoing. So this both of these would be available for 6 months for around price mentioned on the screen, and this is valid till 31st August. And there's a link over here. So this session also I have recorded. So anybody who misses this session probably can refer to it later on as well. So there are different other indicators as well, which you could see or use them. So we talked about some of them over here, but then in subsequent sessions further, we can talk about them in more detail. As of now, this was mainly regarding a template and the screener, which go hand in hand, where we are identifying the stocks and looking it into the charts with how they would go through. So with this, maybe we can conclude the session, and I will stop the recording as well.